Hey guys, welcome back, it's Meg. Today we have the 11.0 Mistweaver guide for Raid. We will be going over stats, talents and hero talents, core abilities, cooldowns, rotations and playstyles, and then at the end some recommended UI elements. Starting out, I would like to do a quick introduction for what you're getting into when you play Mistweaver. First and foremost, we are a melee healer, and a lot of our damage and utility is reliant on being in melee, as well as a majority of our healing hinges on this damage to healing conversion, as well as playing a key role in efficiency when it comes to any casted spells. Mistweavers are moderately tanky for healers, and we are highly mobile. We also have a flexible healing profile that allows us to cover a variety of different damage patterns with different builds. Mistweaver is a higher APM healer, so it's considered to be one of the more challenging healers, especially including the fact that we are melee and it's inherently more dangerous. I would consider Mistweaver to have a low floor but a high ceiling when it comes to performance and execution. Fun is subjective, of course, but Mistweaver remains one of the most fun healers in my opinion. I like that we have multiple solutions to problems, and I appreciate that I bring more than just healing, as we also provide decent damage and good utility for the raid. Stat-wise, we are looking at main stat above all, and then we have haste, crit, mass, and verse. All stats are good for Mistweaver, but main stat is always the priority pick, and haste follows after. Haste is our best secondary stat due to hot tick rate, faster casts, lower GCD, a faster DPS rotation, and more value during our Celestial. Critical Strike contributes to healing and damage quite a bit, as well as contributes to our Manatee stacks. Mastery is heavily involved with Chi-Ji and Gust of Mist, but basically every cooldown we have works with Mastery in some way, so this is going to end up doing a lot of our healing overall. And for versatility, this is not something we really focus on in Raid. It contributes to damage and healing to a smaller degree than Critical Strike, but this also provides some survivability, but again, this isn't something we really focus on for a Raid environment. Taking a look at our class tree, the main points are Soothing Mist and Elusive Mist if you find yourself wanting to play the Soothing Mist playstyle in Raid, but do keep in mind we are still going to be running Rising Mist regardless. Basically, you just want to make sure that you have Vivacious Vivification, Chi Burst or Chi Wave, both of the Expel Harm nodes, Save Them All, and Chi Proficiency. As long as you have those, you are pretty solid with your build and everything else is interchangeable. Specifically for Crashing Momentum, this is an option if you need to be slowing mobs on encounters, but Mistweaver should be the last choice for this as other specs have easier, better options to get than Mistweaver does. So if your comp absolutely needs it, it's an option, otherwise you can ignore this talent. This tree has a bit of flexibility between Pool of Mist and Peer into Peace, and this is going to be decided on whether or not you're taking Soothing Mist in your class tree. If you don't take Soothing Mist as we recommend, then we'll be taking Pool of Mist, but if you do take Soothing Mist, your choice would be Peer into Peace. It's also worth mentioning that in this tree, Jade Bond and Yulon will require you to be confident in consistently being able to get effective CDR to meet your 2-minute timers. If you find you're not consistently hitting that mark, then you can run Gift of the Celestials. It won't be as strong of a cooldown, but you'll hit your timers, which is important, and this is for each player to ultimately decide what is best for you and your comfort level. We can also look at Uplifted Spirits as an option if you find yourself needing that shorter cooldown on Revival. And if you find yourself wanting a average Ire Renewing Mist count, then you can run Dancing Mist. For hero talents, we will be running Conduit of the Celestials, and the first choice node is Temple Training. This is a heal increase for Vivify and Enveloping Mist, so this is going to be our default choice as our main goal in Raid is healing throughput. Restore Balance versus Yulon's Knowledge is an easy choice since we're not actually taking Refreshing Jade Wind. We will get it extra with Restore Balance, and that is our default there. It's unlikely we will experience one-shots in a raid that would require us to need the extra defensive from Nizau's protection, so Jade Sanctuary is going to give us the DR during Conduit. And lastly, August Dynasty versus Inner Compass, and since we aren't taking Jade Fire Stomp in our raid build, we will pick Inner Compass for the proc stats. Gust of Mist is our mastery, so the higher mastery you run, the more that you'll see the impact of this ability. It is procced through Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist, Vivify, Revival, the primary target of Shaylin's gift, and with the talent Crane Style, that also adds Rising Sun Kick, as well as a chance for Spinning Crane Kick and Blackout Kick to also proc a Gust of Mist. Vivify is our main single target heal, and it can function as an AoE heal for targets with Renewing Mist through the talent Invigorating Mist. This is an ability that is also made instant through Soothing Mist. Vivify is also how we trigger our Zen Pulse procs. Renewing Mist is an integral part of the current playstyle, so we want to keep this on cooldown and prioritize injured targets, as this will also give you your Cheat Harmony buff. Targets healed by Vivify will also be healed for a portion when Renewing Mist is active on the target, and this is a hot that gets extended with Rising Mist and allows to set up for incoming group-wide damage. Cheat Harmony is a part of Renewing Mist that prevents Renewing Mist from jumping for the first 8 seconds, but also increases the healing they receive by 50% for the same 8 seconds. So this is very important to prioritize players that are in danger so that you can benefit from that 50% healing increase. Zen Pulse works with Renewing Mist and has a chance to proc this buff. This will cause our next Vivify to heal all allies with Renewing Mist for an additional amount. This is just more help for our AoE healing and encourages good Renewing Mist uptime, but it can be a bit RNG. Enveloping Mist is a heal amp as well as a hot, and this is also going to be triggering our Enveloping Breath from our Yulon during our Celestial window. This is another hot that gets extended from Rising Sun Kick through Rising Mist. Shaylin's Gift is what's going to be giving us our cooldown reduction on some abilities through Heart of the Jade Serpent from our hero talents. This we're basically just going to use when there is healing that is needed to be done, and we have 10 stacks of Shaylin's Gift. Soothing Mist is an ability that does minimal healing by itself, but it is a tool to make Vivify and Enveloping Mist instant. This is an optional talent, so if you are not running this in your build, you can ignore this, but if you are using it, you will also talent into Peer into Peace, which allows you to swap targets with your Vivify and Enveloping Mist without breaking your Soothing Mist channel. This is primarily used during your Yulon ramp as well as spot healing. Rising Sun Kick is our main single target damaging ability, and you have a chance at resetting the cooldown of this through the rest of our DPS rotation. So this should be used on cooldown, as it also works with our maintenance and healing cooldowns through Rising Mist to extend all of our hots. Tiger Palm is a basic single target ability that gives a stack of Teachings of the Monastery. Teachings of the Monastery is a passive ability that stacks up to 4 and provides us with a chance to reset Rising Sun Kick. For Raid, we will be using Tiger Palm once for 1 stack of Teachings of the Monastery, and then Blackout Kick to get the highest chance on a Rising Sun Kick reset. And then we just have Blackout Kick, and this is what spends your Teachings of the Monastery stacks, and we will be using this at 1 stack for the chance of a reset on Rising Sun Kick. Manatee is our resource manager. This is something that will go up to 20 stacks, but you want to make sure that you are never actually sitting at 20 stacks because you're losing mana. Typically, you will want to drink this before there's going to be a lot of casts happening or before your Yulon ramp. Thunder Focus Tea is quite a busy ability. This is a spell that will be used in conjunction with another one of our core abilities, and they each provide a different benefit. Enveloping Mist is an instant cast, Renewing Mist lasts longer, Vivify is mana free, Rising Sun Kick is a shorter cooldown, and Expel Harm grants a Chi Cocoon, which is a small self-shield. When you're using Secret Infusion, which is a talent we often take, you gain a stat depending on which ability you use Thunder Focus Tea with. Rising Sun Kick and Expel Harm give versatility, which is most common use in keys. Enveloping Mist is crit, Renewing Mist is haste, which is the most common use in raid, and Vivify gives mastery. So with Secret Infusion, you decide either what spell you want empowered for its effect, or you decide which stat you need. This button is very flexible though, so I would definitely not macro anything together since that would prevent flexibility. Paralysis is a baseline ability that we get that is just a single target stop, or CC. We don't typically use this in raid, but there are situations where mobs need CC'd, and Paralysis is a pretty good tool for that. Ring of Peace is another crowd control ability, and this can be used to displace mobs or help group things up, though again, it's not super commonly used in raid. Tiger Celeste is a increased movement speed for a friendly target, but it also will remove roots and snares, so this can sometimes be assigned to certain players during certain mechanics, in which you would also use a freedom or other unsnare ability. Fortifying Brew is one of our main defensives. This is a 15-second buff, and it also increases our health by 20%, in addition to being a damage reduction by 20%. Yulon's Grace is a passive stacking magic absorb shield for 1% of our health every 3 seconds, up to 10%, so this is going to do quite a bit over the course of an entire fight, especially those that are heavier in magic and rot damage. Life Cocoon is typically used on tanks or on players that have special mechanics and need additional defensives. This is just an absorb shield for a portion of our health, and they also increase all healing over time received by us by 50%. Revival is an instant raid-wide heal that will also proc a Gust of Mist. It will also dispel them of 3 unique harmful magic debuffs, as well as all poison and all disease. Typically, this is assigned in a place where there is a lot of movement, or there is a dispel that is happening at the same time as a heal check. Celestial Conduit is our conduit of the Celestial's hero talent, Active. This is a 2-in-1 damage and healing cooldown that we can use while moving, and it is a channel. This is going to be a standalone healing cooldown. Yu'lon is our main healing cooldown, and with Jade Bond, it will provide great group-wide coverage both from its own healing and from our players' procs from passive talents we have, like Mending Proliferation, Dancing Mist, and Rapid Diffusion. During this cooldown, the player healing is going to be a combination of Enveloping Mist, Gust of Mist, Renewing Mist, Vivify, and Vivify Cleave through Invigorating Mist, and Zen Pulse. Yu'lon's healing comes from Empowered Celestial, which is a talent that provides Enveloping Breath when Enveloping Mist is used by the player, and Chi Cocoons, which trigger on use of the Celestial effect. Yu'lon will also cast Soothing Breath, and this is where most of her healing comes from. And then the additional effect that Yu'lon provides is that the Enveloping Mist cost is reduced by 50% during the duration of the Celestial. The setup for Yu'lon is pretty simple. You're just going to want to drink down all of the mana tea stacks that you have, and then you will use all of your Renewing Mist stacks available, making sure to use one of them with Thunder Focus Tea for the haste through Secret Infusion, as well as the increased duration. And then you can use Rising Sun Kick to extend all of these hots before pressing Yu'lon. Starting out, we're going to use Enveloping Mist 3 or 4 times to spread the initial Enveloping Breath and Rapid Diffusion procs. After that, we will use Rising Sun Kick on cooldown to extend our existing Renewing Mist and Enveloping Mist, but we're also going to be using Enveloping Mist to proc our Strength of the Black Ox from our Celestial Conduit hero talent. From here, we're going to use Vivify, which is going to be our main heal during Yu'lon. This is going to do a lot of healing from the main target as well as any cleave through Invigorating Mist, in addition to proccing our Zen Pulse. At this point, if you are running Gifts of the Celestials, your ramp is likely over, when you'll probably be able to get a few Vivifies out depending on your haste, but if you're running Jade Bond, you're going to have a bit of time left. In this case, we want to use Rising Sun Kick on cooldown to extend our existing Renewing Mist and Enveloping Mist, but also to proc a new Renewing Mist through Rapid Diffusion. We also want to be using Enveloping Mist to proc Enveloping Breath from Yu'lon, but also to get Enveloping Mist out, which will proc another Renewing Mist through Rapid Diffusion. Vivify should be used with the Vivacious Vivification proc as it increases the healing that Vivify does. And we are also going to be triggering our Zen Pulse from Vivify use as well. All of this combined with Yu'lon's Soothing Breath makes for quite a powerful cooldown, and there are so many entangled interactions that play into each other. For example, with Enveloping Mist, you're going to continue using that when you get a proc, and you're going to try to use it on priority targets, and then you're going to be sending Vivify when you can on ender targets when it makes sense to. You're going to make sure that you do not cap out your Renewing Mist, so use those when you can, but still prioritize your Strength of the Black Ox procs as well as Rising Sun Kick. Our rotation outside of our cooldowns, so this is outside of Yu'lon and just general gameplay, you still want to make sure that you are maintaining your Renewing Mist and not capping out, and that also includes using your Rising Sun Kick on cooldown. You still want to be using your Vivifies, and this is going to still proc your Zen Pulse outside of cooldowns, but this is where most of our healing is going to come from, is just Vivify and Invigorating Mist. And then you can use Shaylin's Gift at high enough stacks for a little bit of stronger spot healing, kind of like Vivify, and this is also going to play into our Jade Sanctuary. For add-ons, I would definitely recommend having some sort of UI add-on. This is just so it's a bit more customizable and you can change how things look, or if things are tracked or not tracked, depending on how relevant they are. Boss timers are really important so you know which mechanic is coming up so you can start to prep for your ramp. Most people use big or little wigs, some people still use DBM, but there are a couple others out there, I'm sure. Details is just a way to keep track of your performance during the encounters when you don't have time to look at logs or deep dive between pulls. This is less of an issue in Raid, but I would recommend grabbing some sort of nameplate modifier, especially as there are lots of little ads in certain encounters. You may want to blacklist these just so you have a little bit more clarity during the encounter. And then for weak auras, you will need the base weak aura add-on download. These are the buff uptime trackers that I use. You don't have to use these, but they are available for download. These are all weak auras. Most of the time I'm just looking for my defensive uptime and my celestial uptime, and then you want to make sure that you are tracking your Vivacious Vivification, your Renewing Mist stacks and their cooldown, your Shaylin Gift stacks, and your Mana Tea stacks. And then we have the Renewing Mist counter, which is very important for knowing how many Renewing Mist out you have on the raid and the duration of the shortest Renewing Mist left. All of these are going to be available in my UI document, which I will link down below. It is at the bottom of the written version of this guide. Like I said, everything will be available down below in the description in addition to the talent loadout for this build. I hope that this video was helpful, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching!